Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another video. If you're new to the channel, my name is Yun. This morning we're gonna get milking going here. Parlor is completely ready to go, and we're gonna grab some cows. The milking parlor and holding area is that way, and the main pack barn is just on that side around the corner over there, and the main freestall barn is right here. So they're right beside each other. Group 1 is on that side. This is group 2. We're gonna grab the far group first, bring them right up into the holding area. They all usually start getting up as soon as you open that front gate there. They know what's going on. Same time every day, 4 in the morning. They know what's happening. They're going to head over to that holding area and get themselves milked. If you just open that gate and you give them 5 minutes, pretty much every single cow in this group will be in that holding area on their own, just because they're in such a routine. But we always walk to the back, grab the rake right away, and start raking the crap out of the beds. All the ladies are out of the group now in the holding area. We're gonna scrape the alleys clean with that bobcat right there. Before we do that, we gotta click this green button here, which turns this pump on, and that circulates liquid manure through this slot here, so that when we push the manure into the slot, it gets pushed into this pit right here underneath the concrete. Gonna be using a good old tire scraper. That thing's still pretty awesome. So we got 1 row of beds bedded. I guess that's about 65 beds in total. We tried to put 1 bucket for like 6 beds or so. We don't want to overfill the beds, so then we'll just burn through the sand quicker. And if you overfill the beds, the cows will kick the sand out and it just kind of is wasted. So you don't want to fill them too full. But this is looking pretty good. I'm gonna go back to the parlor now and help finish milking that first group. So before I head back to the parlor, I'm gonna check if there's any cows calved. Looks like we got a calf in the second maternity pack. It's right over there, we're gonna grab it. There it is, straight in the pen, already standing up again. It's crazy how quick a calf gets up after it's born, and not only getting up, but also like walking a pretty far distance. Even within an hour of being born, sometimes even quicker, these things are running around the place. So anyway, we grabbed it and it's in its pen now. So these are the last 2 lines of the first group, which means we're gonna put the second group in the holding area right now. Well, the milk truck was here pretty good on time today. He's already picked it up. I haven't even cleaned the parlor yet, so that's what I'm gonna do now. As a dairy farmer, it's always awesome to see that truck rolling out of the yard, or even if you just see one driving in the city or down the highway. You know, that's what you do all the work for. Bedding up the cows, getting the sand in the beds, feeding them every day, milking them every day, making sure they're bred, calving them out, getting the silage in the summer, hauling the manure. Everything we do is for that truck when it leaves the yard. So it's just satisfying to see it. But anyway, we're gonna get this parlor cleaned off. First, I'm gonna flush it, and then we are gonna fire hose it off. Parlor's all cleaned up now. We're doing some dirt work behind the barn here with the pack barn expansion. A bunch of the dirt got moved around. You always want to make sure that all the dirt is sloped nicely when you're finished construction, just so that when spring rolls around, all of the overflow from the snow melting, the water is going to flow away from your barns. You don't want a bunch of puddles around the barns. Gets the tractors dirty, you can get stuck in it. It's just a big fat hassle. So that's what we're trying to get done. We're kind of racing before the freeze comes. We only got today, and today might actually be the last nice warm day to get that sort of thing done. So that's what we're gonna go help with right now. There's a guy in a Bobcat, Jesse, he's doing a great job out there. He's doing all the fine tuning, and I might just head over there with the wheel loader and move some more volume for him, try and speed things up. Right on, all the dirt work is done. So basically what we did, this is in between the main freestall barn and the new pack barn here. This whole area, we had to make sure that it was gonna drain out. So there's obviously a tie in here. We don't want that water going through the barn, so we put a big fat pipe there. Goes underneath the slot for the manure. That goes to the back of the pack barn. Actually goes underneath here as well and into the freestall barn. So that drain pipe goes underneath that slot. So it does actually end up being pretty low. So we had to dig a pretty deep ditch there. But back to in between the two barns, we had to bring that far end, dirt-wise, way up. So it's slanted all the way down to this drain. And then there's a nice 2-inch layer of top dress gravel here just to kind of prevent erosion. If you don't cover up the dirt and a bunch of water comes washing down here, it's just gonna wash all the dirt down that pipe. We don't want that. Had to bring it all in here. We want to make sure it's going to stay there. And so that pipe actually comes out just behind the curb here, or the apron of the back of the barns. And it comes out right there. So, well, it looks like actually some moisture came through there. The pipe is just kind of hidden in the rocks. We got some bigger, I think this is 4 to 6 inch rock, and it kind of sits at the bottom of this entire ditch. And there's also like a nice little fabric or a mat, some erosion prevention stuff underneath that rock. So when it does rain like crazy, the water from in between those two barns is gonna go to that pipe, and everything here kind of slopes into this ditch, goes around there into the ditch, and it's all gonna head behind the corrals there and drain off of the farm nicely. We really want to get this done before winter came, and it's actually awesome. We did get it done. Something finished on time, and that's awesome. Today we're going to be putting our cow barn into winter ventilation mode. Temperatures outside are getting pretty cold, and we got to get this thing switched over, make sure the cows stay nice and warm in this barn come winter time. First thing that I'm going to do is turn all the fans off, and then we can start working on them. I don't want them to be on when I'm working on them because they're automatically turning on, and I don't want them to turn on while we're working with them. So now all the fans are off. I'm gonna turn on the winter ventilation before I put any of the insulation bats in these exhaust fans, just to make sure that's up and running, because we can't have no ventilation in this barn. The cows need fresh air. So if there was something wrong with the winter ventilation, we could figure that out before we turn it off. And basically I don't wanna take all the bats out today after I put them all in. So at the back of the main cow barn here, there's an electrical room right there. And then on this wall here, we got the ventilation controller. See that high temp probe 4? That was probably from sometime this summer when it was really hot in the barn. So all we did there was turn the 10 chimney fans. We turned them on. So they're pulling air through the roof now, kicking it out through those chimneys. And we also turned the actuators on for the inlets. So the inlets along the roof here now are opening up. We can see that on both sides of the barn. The actuator for that is right here, hooks to a cable, and it goes all the way down the length of the barn. There's another actuator on that side for the other inlets. Just gonna walk down the barn, make sure all the fans are good. Well, that could have went a little bit better. For some reason, 2 of our exhaust fans are not working, and it's definitely warm enough in the barn to where all of those exhaust fans should be running at full tilt, but they're not. So we got to look at 2 fans. I'll get someone to lift me up with the wheel loader later today, and I can check those out. But for now, I'm gonna close the curtains at the front, and then everything seems to be working except for those 2 fans. So we'll go ahead and put the insulation bats and the tarps on those exhaust fans at the back of the barn here. So the curtains at the front of the barn are closing up right now, and you always want to keep a really close eye on those things while they're going up. Make sure they're not going crooked. Unfortunately, my switch to stop them from closing is at the back of the barn, and the curtains are at the front of the barn. So I always just stand back here and watch them as they're going up. And as soon as I would see maybe one of them going a little bit crooked, I can run to the electrical room, stop them from moving, and then we can run to the front and see what's going on. But right now, they're all looking pretty straight, so that's good. Awesome, so the curtains are completely closed now. This side is sealed up really good. There's barely any holes for the air to come through, but this inlet, you can see all the way at the top, there's a pretty decent sized gap there, and that's not good for the winter time. We want to seal this barn up as good as we possibly can. It'll be easier to keep it warm. It never will really freeze in here. There's way too much furnace with all the cows. They give off so much heat. The thing is though, if you have so much air leaking through on one side of the barn, these water bowls all the way at the front here can struggle to stay thawed out. So might have to do something about that yet.